Hey everyone, and welcome back to another terrarium update. Today we're going to be taking the 3-month look at the native terrarium from How To Terrarium episode 3. This terrarium is doing very well, and there's some cool stuff in here that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Without any delay, let's take a look. This is probably my favorite plant in the terrarium. I just like the look of it. It's really cool with the little leaves and all that sort of thing. As you can see here, the roots are really becoming established. They're just shooting all over the place. And you can even see them coming all the way through, down through the false bottom here and over here. And I would imagine that these are all from that plant because you can see them coming here and the thickness and everything looks pretty similar to that. Here's that plant that I added in the last update video. As you can see, it's doing pretty well, and it looks a lot different than whenever I initially put it in, which I think is pretty interesting because initially it was growing in a temperate kind of, let's put it bluntly, a suburban front yard, and now it's growing in a more tropical setup, which is cool because you can see how they grow differently to their environment. And as I pan down here, you can see that it's doing very well because all these roots are coming right from there. And that's about, 2 months of growth. So here's one of those worms that I told you guys about last time. It's pretty cool because I didn't add them to this soil. They just kind of showed up naturally. So whenever you guys are getting your soil from out in the woods or something like that, chances are you're going to end up with some critters as seen here. And so here's really the only downside to having worms in your terrarium or vivarium. As you can see, there's dirt kind of lumped all over the place here. And what they're doing is they're taking the dirt from down here and they're coming up to the surface like this and redistributing it up here. And as you can see, as I turn it around, it kind of slopes downward. And I had constructed it sort of like that in the beginning, but it wasn't this dramatic. And as we get near the front of the terrarium, especially like right here, that's more or less what it was originally like. And as you can see, there's like a little bit of tunnels here, but they're not surfacing at all on the front. And I'm guessing that's happening because this is the side of the terrarium that faces the window, so it's probably warmer than this side of the terrarium, and they're more or less just staying over on this side. And I don't know, it's something pretty cool, and I figured you guys would enjoy that. Here's something else that's pretty cool. There's springtails all over the place. This terrarium literally is just loaded with springtails. There's a good, I don't know, there's got to be hundreds of them in here. And as you can see on these 2 patches of moss alone, there's got to be, I don't know, maybe 30 of them. There's more on this back piece than the front one. I just spotted this other worm here as I was telling you about the springtails, and as I say that, here goes a springtail right there. But I guess that confirms that there are multiple worms in here. I wasn't sure. I had a feeling there probably would have been. As you can see, this sphagnum moss is really starting to take off. I think initially it took a while to kind of get established because the area that it came from was a lot more moist than what it's currently in now. So I think it just had a little bit of lag time compared to the other plants, but now it's really starting to grow nicely. Now that I see this liverwort here, it just made me think of something pretty cool. As you can see, it's kind of getting covered up with this dirt, but it's definitely trying to grow over top of it, and I think in time it will definitely do so. But it's cool to think that these worms are kind of reconfiguring the landscape continually. So this will kind of be an ever adapting environment. It's not always going to be the same controlled environment that it was, which part of me likes that aspect of a terrarium, that it's kind of controlled. But then in the other respect, it's kind of cool that this will just always be changing and there's always something new to see when you look into it. So definitely seeing some different aspects as I look through and describe this terrarium to you guys. Down here you can see another root. And I imagine that this is the root for the grasses, which as I pan up here, you will see they're doing extremely well. They've pretty much grown, well, they have actually grown to the height of the terrarium. And I'll show you the top of it here in a second. The only things in this terrarium that are not doing overly well are the mosses. And that's mainly because this isn't as moist of an environment as some of my other terrariums. That being said, I'm probably gonna water it here in a little bit, just like a few drops on these pieces of moss, because it's at a good amount of water right now. But like this one on here is all dried out, and those ones back here they have pieces coming off that are definitely alive, but I want it to be thriving. I'm just gonna open this up, as I stated, to moisten the moss a little bit. It's tough because I don't want to mess it up. There we go. There you go, the grass kind of popping out all over the place. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that I like how terrariums and vivariums smell. And that's because they have that woods kind of natural earthy smell to them. And I want to give this one a smell. Yeah, it's cool because they all smell a little bit different. I think it's because of the composition of the substrate or soil and the woods and just all the different things. It always creates a somewhat different smell from the other terrariums or vivariums. If you like that sort of thing, definitely give it a try. And I got my mister pumped up here, and I'm just gonna give it a tiny spritz. And I know that some of you guys don't like the idea of opening your terrarium. You think that it kind of defeats the purpose of having one, or that it takes away from it. And I get where you're coming from, because that's how you see a terrarium. But I want to say that it's not a black and white thing. It's not you do this and that's the only way that you terrarium. There's a lot of different kinds of terrariums and a lot of different ways to do it. So to simply say it should be this way or that way, in my opinion, isn't correct. It's an art form, and almost like bonsai, where you have to trim them and it's always a constant maintenance on it. That's how I see terrariums. I like to open them, I like to move things around as need be, I like to add water on my mosses to make sure they're growing optimally, and just for various reasons. So if you don't like that, or you think that it's not a good way of looking at terrariums, I just want to give you my perspective at least. And to complete this process, I got to get the lid back on. Of course, I got to try to do that without ruining this grass, because at this point I don't want to cut it because it's doing very well. So finagle this. Yeah, that's not bad. I was just trying not to crush any of it in the lid. As you can see now, there's some precipitation on the glass, and I could have easily wiped it off, but I think in time it will even out and look as it was before. That's it for this update, everyone. I've been looking through your comments and feedback from the previous updates to try to fine tune and make a formula that works for me and that you guys enjoy. So definitely let me know what you thought of this one. I also got a new microphone for whenever I do the updates and things wherever I'm speaking directly to the camera, so that I don't have to use the onboard microphone. Let me know if that sounded better for you guys. I hope it did, because it took me a while to kind of fine tune it and get it right. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.